Welcome to Lobster Chronicles. We're live here at 22nd Street Landing. Brian Sanchez from Promar. Brian, good to see you.
Phil, always good to see you.
And man, what a night because we have such a special guest tonight. Ryan Candelaria from Slade Day. Ryan, how are you, my friend?
Yes, sir. Well, you're one of the best people that we could really think to bring on board. I mean, you do so much in the lobster industry and for Promar and for fishing in general. Like I think that it's going to be a really good show for people to really understand who you are and what Slay Day has to offer. So this is going to be really fun.
I see Ryan's like frozen, man. Is he frozen?
No, it's going. It's
Ryan?
choppy. It's choppy.
Yeah, Roger.
No worries.
Yeah, we'll work this out.
It's just a little choppy.
There you are. Were you able to hear? You heard everything that Brian said, right?
It's coming back. Give me a second.
I got a really fast Wi-Fi, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, our Wi-Fi is not that faster, but it looks like we're doing okay here, right?
Yeah.
We'll figure this out. Hey, there you go. You're like full speed all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Hang on, everybody. A little technical difficulties, which we will iron out.
He's good now. He's smooth now.
All right. How about Ryan? How's that?
I don't know. You guys, am I coming across okay?
Yeah, you look good, man.
You sound great from our end, for sure. You look good on the stream now, too, so you're good to go.
So, Ryan.
Yes.
Brian, a moment ago, said we're not only fortunate to have you with us, but he also said we want to delve into everything you do with Slay Day and everything else. Why wait till later in this podcast? Let's do that right now. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody? Tell everybody something about your experience and what Slay Day is actually all about.
Yeah.
About 8-9 years ago, and we started this company because we realized that there was really nobody in Southern California who was offering boat rentals for those of us that are seasoned anglers that don't have a. So we started with a 21-foot center console that we had built for us on a Klamath Bay Runner aluminum hull by the guys over in Trade Winds Inflatables in Newport Beach, and we strived to offer like a premium rental boat service where you could head to Catalina with the friends, you could head out shore chasing for birds and tuna, you could fish locally with the family, and we have always tried to keep it at a really affordable price point so that you could head out on a private day for under $200 a guy on a very nice boat. And now we're up to a couple of rental boats and a beautiful charter boat out of San Diego also.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've seen the operation, from the photos and videos that you've shown me, and obviously your social media, and it's killer. Like he's saying, like it's something that I've never seen done. Every time I think of a rental boat, it's always like, like a small dinghy, or you think about freshwater. You never necessarily think about a rental boat company where you could take it out to, like you said, Catalina or local fishing or anything else, or even hooping in the harbor, which I know is something that you guys are super heavy on. And they're all outfitted with Promar gear, which is super cool. But yeah, it's like it's such a neat idea that's like so new and fresh to the industry. I'm like excited to see where that goes. So like,
Thank you. We unique category as a self-guided rental service, so that the in our boats too. We kind of vet everybody with a safety quiz that we have to take ahead of time if you want to rent one of our boats. And I'm knock on wood, but we've been able to service thousands of anglers over the years, and we, other than a couple of mechanical incidents that have happened over the years, we've never.
Yeah, for sure.
Ryan, pretty amazing what you can accomplish with hard work, working with your wife to make this dream come true. And I think we're probably like 10% done on what you're going to accomplish in the future. This is a work in progress. It's going to be something even better than what it is. But what a sense of accomplishment for you and your wife to see this business grow and grow and grow. And your attention to the clients and taking good care of them and making sure that they're going to be safe. Man, that is really admirable.
Yeah, no, obviously, when you have a business venture, to have a partner, for me, my wife, someone that not only supports your vision and supports what you do, but also guys that we work with. She helps run our lobster tournaments. She helps with customers. Can't do anything in life alone at all. I'm just gonna have a partner, a wife that supports it. She may not be really that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's rad, dude. And to touch base on that, it's like Phil said, I really think this is like a beginning, and he does a lot. Like I think Slay Day is really only a fraction of what he does. Slay Day itself, like they also do their own seminars when it comes to fishing, when it comes to hooping. I'd love for him to go in on that. But they also they have a huge lobster tournament that we support every year, which is King of the Harbor. I think they're going to be King of the Harbor 7 this upcoming year, so that's something to look forward to as well. So hopefully we can touch base on all of that because Ryan's really. It's funny because I don't want to divulge what he does on a full time basis, but his normal day to day job and then coming here and doing everything that he does for the fishing industry, it always blows me away that he does so much and has all the time to do so with his normal 9 to 5 per se. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Good stuff, Ryan. I'm going to read
Yeah.
a few comments. There's a ton of people joining us here this evening, all because of you, my friend. Jeff Lingle, he's out on a yacht right now. Ryan, he's down about 140 miles. Last time I was talking to him, out fishing bluefin tuna. He's joining us here tonight. Chivo is joining us also. He wanted to say hi. Robert Graber is here. He says hello to Captain Jeff. He's talking to Jeff. Seawolf's got his popcorn ready. He's ready for a great show. And Pucky 1594, I'll pronounce it that way, says hi to everybody. And that kind of catches us up with everybody. Seawolf saying audio, but hopefully that is starting to straighten out. What about that lobster tournament? I want to hear about that before we get into some more of the techniques and things that people need to know to hoop net more lobster. But what about this tournament? Where is it? When is it? How can we participate?
For hoop netters called King of the Harbor. And the reason why we refer to it as King of the Harbor is because we specifically cater towards those kind of in the northern section of our southern management zone. And this tournament is exclusive to LA and Long Beach Harbor. It's a 30 to 45 boat tournament, open yachts or whatever you have that floats, where you and a team of 4 can go, attack Long Beach Harbor for about 6 or 7 hours. You come back in and you get to weigh your 3 heaviest lobster. And because have the purse be, this year it'll probably be well over $3,000, along with a beautiful sponsorship from Promar and Ahi USA. We got hoop nets to give away, bait cages. We have bait smashers from Original Bait Smasher. We have Bite On, Attracted, and usually about 20 to 30 other sponsors who take care of our fishing community, because we do a huge raffle that happens live during the event. So guys can throw on their social media. We stream a raffle, and then 100% of the money that is raised through those raffle tickets goes towards a good friend of mine. He runs a nonprofit that focuses specifically on getting veterans, first responders, active duty out on the water, out in the mountains, out doing adventures outdoors, and it's all done because of all the hooping community that comes through. Correct.
Man, that sounds absolutely fantastic. And so that award ceremony thing, is it the subsequent day, or are you doing that like at midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, or do you have that all the next day?
So everything is done in one evening. Usually, teams and boats start showing up around 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and by all the easy ups, a couple that's that guys, they're winners when they come in to check in, they can pick up their prizes, and then we do a live weigh-in using a calibrated system and a weighing system where it's all live. People can gather around, check it out, and then usually around midnight, 12:30, we announce first, second, third place. Jackpot Lobster. The awards are given the trophies are given that night. Money goes away that night, and we usually skedaddle out of Long Beach around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And we got a lot of happy anglers because we have families that come out, we have buddies that come out, we have people that come from other states, we have people that come from Northern California, people from San Diego, and it's just a big event full of the local community. And I can't say enough good things about the people that show up and how we're supported by our own angling community.
Ryan, I would love to attend that with your permission, man. Whenever you get a date, let me know. I would love to be there. We could do a Lobster Chronicles.
Yeah, we should set a day where it's like a live stream from
Yeah.
the event, showcasing all the things. Because I went last year. There's tons of people. It's a lot of good vibes. Everyone sets up. They kind of bring their tent, their little campers, their stuff, and
It sounds like fun, man.
everyone's bringing lobster in, so you get to see like all the different catches and the different like stories from the night. It was really fun, and I know I told him that this upcoming year I want to do more with him on it, so that's something to look forward to. I'm sure we're going to be supporting it more. Obviously, Promar wants to do as much as we can in the lobster community, and this is such a great avenue for us to do that. So, yeah, I definitely want to see. Maybe we can for sure do a show out there when we do that.
And Ryan, whenever that date is going to be, how do people sign up? Where do they go? Do they go to a website, or do they contact you via Instagram? How do they go about doing that?
So we have a website that we set up every year through slaydayssocal.com, where people can usually find their way there from all the different social media platforms, whether Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, blah blah blah. You just head to our website. There's a form that you fill out on your phone. Everything's done digitally. We gather the names of participants and the names of boats, and everything is done through everyone's phone. It just takes a couple minutes to log in, to sign up and log in. Typically, our fees are anywhere from $120 to $150 per team, and you can have up to 4 anglers on your team, so it's really affordable. And then that night, everything's done digitally. Everything's done, signed in through the spreadsheet. Everything is sent to all our participants through email and social media, and we really try to make it to where there's not a whole lot of thought that our participants have to put into it. All they have to worry about is getting their boat inspected, getting on the water, and then there's nothing you got to think about. Everything's done digitally. It's wonderful. I can't tell you, we sell out every year. We have so many different local companies that participate. We have a huge sponsorship by Promar and Ahi USA, and then we typically are able to give away around $2,000 or $3,000 in giveaways, and then another $3,000 in cash.
Fantastic, man. That sounds like such a good thing. Hey, a big fan of yours, Robert Graber, says Ryan is the man. He hooked me up many seasons ago with a bait chopper, even though he didn't really even have them readily available. He's so grateful to all the lengths you went to make sure he had that. He just wanted to thank you very, very much, Ryan.
I appreciate the kind words, Robert. And what he's talking about here is the original by a gentleman named Roy out of San Diego. And these bait smashers, we usually try to get a hold of about 20, 30, 40 of them a season. We try to spread positivity and spread love to as many people as we can. And if we got a chance to hook someone up who wants to use it and we're not quite ready, like why not meet us at the landing or down at our boat and share the love? Because as you know, those positive acts of kindness, they always come back twofold. So that's just what we try to do, is take care of each other, man.
Dude, I love this guy already, man.
Yeah.
Ryan, you are the man. You're exactly the kind of person I like to work with.
He's such a nice guy, dude. Like he's super cool. The more that I've started to work, especially like as I've gotten more into like the marketing side of Promar, and there's like certain people who I'd love to work with. And you're not one.
I'm not one of them.
Yeah. You're not
I
one.
want to steal that from him, Ryan.
But Ryan is, and he's been super cool. So he's a good guy to support. Like, definitely check out Slay Day and all the other stuff. And you guys will learn more too. And he's like super knowledgeable. So if you guys want to get out there on the charter with him too and learn how to hoop, I could not recommend almost anybody better, because he works with us directly. He makes videos with us in the office. He's like an ambassador for our gear, so he's super cool. And that's something. And maybe even with the upcoming tournament, we can put that on our website to promote it for you guys and put it on like the resource page so that can direct people more to your guys' website too. So it's something we can talk about.
Hey Ryan, question for you. Could we, like, during that tournament, can you go on a sport, like if I chartered the Amigo, could we be in that tournament also, go to Catalina, fish, and then be back by the weigh-in? Is that something you do, or is this just a private boater thing?
That sounds awesome. We have plenty of participants that hoop on a charter boat, but unfortunately, in order to keep it kind of level for the smaller guys, we only allow people to have a max of 4 anglers on their vessel. So that sounds like an amazing idea, but maybe something for the future. But for right now, we limit it to 4 anglers. So that idea that you have, though, that's something to think about in the future.
You know what we can do is we can probably get on, ask Renee, and if he's cool with it, we can have a Friedman Adventures team.
Well, I mean, this is not my idea. Chivo said, "How about a Friedman Adventures team?"
Yeah,
and that would be awesome.
That would be killer.
1, 2, 3, the
Chivo.
dog and Chivo.
Yeah.
We got our 4, man. There it is. Hey, I think we're going to be involved in this. It just sounds so great.
Yeah.
Brian Carter wanted to say hello to
Blast.
Ryan. He wanted to say hello to Phil. And he wanted to, I don't know why he'd want to say hi to you, but he did. You guys know Brian Carter? Sounds like a great person.
He was actually at the tournament there last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was. That's where I first met him. So it's funny that he's here.
Brian, thanks for being here, my
he was
friend.
also a winner of Ambush season last year too.
Seawolf 1330 says, I've been on the boat and I slayed it with lobster. So do you know him?
Yeah, Seawolf is cool.
Oh yeah, that's Brent. Brent's an awesome dude. He's from a little bit further north, and he's one of those guys that everyone's jealous of because he hops in the water with his warm wetsuit and his tanks, and he scubas for world class. Premier. And he ended up doing some taxidermy on a couple of 8 to 10 pound bugs that turned out absolutely perfect. He's a good dude. What's up, Brent?
All right, Seawolf, thank you for joining us, my friend. He mentioned that he did taxidermy and he loves doing the lobster thing. That's for sure.
Yeah,
go ahead.
He has some really cool videos on Facebook that I've seen where he gets every bit of meat out, because you got to get all the meat out.
Yeah.
So he'll use like different tools to get it all out, and it's always cool because I'm like, I don't even realize that there's that much meat in a lobster.
Can we get him in here to do that on a show? I would love that.
If we can talk to him, I'm sure we can.
Man, we would love it. Getting meat out of a lobster is my favorite hobby. I don't know if I've ever told you that, but it definitely is. Hey, and another thing, I wouldn't mind going on one of the rental boats and shooting a video. However, after I heard Ryan explain that you have to be responsible and you were afraid of people that might sink the boat or something, I don't think I'd pass the test.
Yeah,
so.
it'd be hard.
But Ryan, you'd have to take us out. That's the only way we can do it.
That would be my pleasure, bro. I'd love to take you out.
Oh man, that would be my pleasure. Let me tell you. Richard Hughes says, "Hey guys, I wrote a Lobster Chronicle song. I have to record it, and I will send it to you in a couple of days. So there you are.
I'm excited to hear it, dude. I'm very excited.
Me too. I'm getting the lobster necklaces ready for the winners this year right now. Seawolf, one more time again. Sounds like it's going to be fantastic, man. A lot of great gifts and a lot of money in that tournament, Brian.
Yeah, there's a lot of prizes, obviously from a whole slew of other companies and obviously Promar as well. So it's going to be super fun. It's going to be very exciting. They always put it up. It's always really well put together. So I'm excited to see what Ryan does this upcoming year. I know that I'm going to talk to him soon and try to get a lot more put together from our end too. So.
All right, very good. Jeff Lingo also excited about the new song that is coming up. He can't wait to hear it, and he admonishes everybody out there to hit that like button, definitely. And Seawolf says he's in, man. He will do the show with us. Seawolf, if I have to come up there to the Channel Islands, I will do that. It would be absolutely fantastic.
That'll be fun.
Anybody got a question, please funnel it in. We're only going to be here till 7 tonight before they throw us out of here, out of the landing tonight. Hey, Ryan, I'd like to start with a couple of questions, and I'd like to start from the novice, the guy that has never done the lobster thing, because I get this question a lot. You know, I want to do it, but I have absolutely no clue on how to accomplish it or the equipment or how to even take that first step to get into hoop netting for lobster. What advice would you give that novice hoop netter?
So realistically, you know, we filter this question, you know, couple dozen times a month. Guys who never really knew that hooping existed, and we get DMs and comments and all that. And where do I start? What do I do? And really, I mean, it's kind of cliche to answer, but hop on YouTube. You know, I know we're not the only ones. We have some pretty decent videos on there that kind of break down every single part of lobster hooping. But there's about another dozen or so creators that have really good quality videos on the basics of lobster hooping, like what you use from your lay flat hoops to your rigid conical offer up. You 12 months out of the year, you just type in the words lobster or hoop net on either OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace or any of those, and you're going to find some used conical hoops. You're going to find some lay flat hoops. Oftentimes, you can find them for 10 to 30 bucks. And you know, the cool thing is once you have a hoop, you spend 12 bucks on a lobster card, and you can head down to your local pier. And once that sun goes down at 5 or 6 o'clock, you know, that gives you 5-6 hours to get started. And we really try to preach that it's easy. You can do it with children. You can do it with kids. You can, you know, hop it on YouTube on how to do it, along with, you know, paying attention to all the Facebook groups and all the Instagram channels. Throw your hoop and some good used gear, you know, Promar gear. You know, we have some hoops that we've been using for almost 10 years. And as long as you're not throwing them in the rocks and getting all dirty with them, they last forever. So it's super affordable.
Very good. Hey, Richard Hughes says, have you ever considered having a representative from the Department of Fish and Wildlife to go over the rules and how they're enforced, et cetera? We have, Richard, and I've reached out to them, and we're working on that right now. But something tells me that this guy right here, Ryan, could tell us all about that. Following the rules, it seems like it's more important. I won't say more important, but it seems like there's a few more hoops, no pun intended, to jump through in terms of like having your lobster card filled out, having all those things. Like you go fishing, you don't have to do that. You just have your fishing license and you're cool. It's a little different, isn't it, Ryan? You really have to be prepared.
Yeah, it's you know, especially because we live in California. You know, a lot of people, including myself, referring to it as California. There are just so many ridiculous laws and regulations, but a part of me is super understanding because, you know, the California spiny lobster is a very special and unique crustacean. In the entire western seaboard, it's really only found from, you know, that central coast ish, you know, Ventura County, a little bit further north down to the border. And that's about it. Our California spiny lobster, they're not endangered, they're not threatened, but they're a resource that if we don't take care of them, someday they're going to disappear. And I don't mean physically disappear. I mean, this state is going to take away our rights to hoop for them and dive for them. And so all of these weird regulations and rules and laws. I mean, the number one thing to start off with is the fact that you can only retain 7 lobsters per angler per day. And sometimes when you have a really hot night and you're pulling up those hoops and you're getting limits right away, sometimes your evening is over in 1 hour. Other nights, in order to get those 7 lobsters per angler, you could be out there for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. But so the 7 lobsters per angler is probably the number one thing. And then some of the other things we might be able to touch on them a little bit later, but I want to highlight 2 of them. And the first thing I want to highlight is I want to talk about your lobster card. So in order to go hooping in California, you don't just have to have your lobster card. And it's really awesome because the lobster card itself is only like $12 for the year. It allows you to hoop from October this year, the end of September through March. In addition to that, you also have to have your fishing license. And with that card, you know, it's about 48 inches long. It looks like a CVS receipt, but that card has to be filled out with the location of where you're hooping, the date you're hooping, and the kind of gear you're using. And you got to fill it out before you even start hooping. So we always preach, get out there on the water as you're motoring out towards your spot while guys are stuffing bait cages. Another guy should be with the Sharpie marker, filling out those cards ahead of time, because that's the number one thing that our wardens are going to look for. If you get detained by one of their vessels, they're going to want to see your lobster card right away. And they're going to want to see that it's filled out ahead of time. And one of the other things they're going to look for is they're going to want to make sure that whoever is hooping on that vessel, that your surface floats or your surface buoys are filled out correctly with somebody's Go ID on them. And by Go ID, all that means is when you buy a California state fishing license or a lobster card, you are assigned a permanent ID that stays with you for life. It's called your Go ID. It's found on the very top of your report card. And if you're hooping from a vessel, you have to have that Go ID physically labeled on the float itself. Now you can have the same ID on all 10 hoops if you're fishing with a group of guys, but if you're fishing by yourself, you can only have 5 hoop nets and it's got to be on every single one of them. However, if you're fishing from a jetty or from a pier or for something that is man-made like that, you don't have to have a surface float. There's a lot of argument in the community about that. You don't have to have anything labeled other than your lobster card. So those are just 2 or 3 of those weird regulations I'd like to highlight right now.
Excellent. Hey, Lisa Paul. Lisa, thank you for joining us. She says, hey, Ryan, I need one of those bait choppers, man. I got to have one of those.
Yeah, we released, I think, about a dozen of them to the market about a week ago. They sold out. A good friend of mine, Roy, you know, he hand welds, and paints every single one of them himself. And we usually only get about 12 to 20 at a time. We'll probably have another stash of them in about a month here. We usually do about 2 or 3 drops this season, and the best way to reserve them is just pay attention to our social media. We're going to put out on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, blah blah blah. And if you're subscribed to our channels, you get those notifications, you'll be able to pick one up. Otherwise, they're usually gone within about a day or 2.
And Ryan, is that Slay Day on all that social media? Is that where people find you?
Yes, Slay Day SoCal. But you know, if you just Google the word Slay Day, that first hit is going to take you to our main landing page where we have links to all of our different social medias. Just you know, it's unfortunate that we can only release 30 to 40 a year, because I can tell you that, you know, there's probably enough need out there, demand, I should say, for at least 100 of them. But each one of them is handcrafted and hand welded and hand wrapped and paracord, and they're hard to get. But just follow us on social media, you'll get yourself one of them.
And that's a really highly sought after product, dude. We get calls about that all the time, and for us, I mean, it's so difficult to kind of get into. So, I mean, I get it. That's the biggest issue that we're coming into. Is like, how do you mass manufacture something that would be good enough quality? Because you're putting so much pressure on these things, and you're hammering these things down to chop your bait. You got to have something really solid. So, yeah, definitely. If you guys can scale it up, I think there's a big market for that for sure.
Ryan, yeah, I know there is, and I don't know if you want to spend just a second talking about them real quick, but
Yeah.
can we talk about bait for a minute?
Please, please.
So you know what's funny is I just went hooping yesterday, and I wanted to ask you because I think you may have had experience with them. I think we talked about it once. Have you ever used? So I use one of the pre-made frozen baits that fit into the seal-proof bait cages. I didn't use the lobster log one, so I can't speak to that. But I used another one, and my experience with it was pretty bad. It seemed like the bait was chopped up too mushy. It seemed like every time I dropped it in, as soon as I dropped it in and it was defrosted and I pulled it back up, all of the bait just fell out in all the holes. So I don't know if that was like normal or what. But anyways, I wanted to see if you had any experience with that. That's more of a personal question, but I figure it's a good question for everybody else who's going to be asking because we typically get that question a few times a night. So.
Yeah, no.
What's your favorite bait, and have you ever used those? And any experience with them?
So I have used them, and I do not want to speak poorly about that product, the lobster log. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, mass producing a frozen chunk that fits exactly inside these Promar bait tubes is ingenious. But you're right. I think the guys, I think they've only been making them for about a year and a half, and they're still fine tuning it. But when you mash up your bait that much into almost like a puree, you're going to lose a lot of that through all of your different holes in your bait cages, or if you put them in your pouches, because you got current and you got surge and tidal movement and sand fleas and all that. Those lobster logs, unfortunately, they don't last that long, but it's a great idea, and I want to see those guys improve on that idea. But one of the things that I like to tell people whenever we do seminars or whenever I talk to newbies about lobster hooping is the importance of fresh bait. And here's the why behind that. So California's spiny lobsters, they're a crustacean. They're a bottom feeding crustacean that essentially is looking for dead and decaying and almost dead bait. Those spiny lobsters, you're going to notice coming out of their head, they have two very large antennae. And those antennae are not only for feeling around and what's going on, but they're really important. Those are actually like electromagnetic receivers. And what those lobsters are doing with those antennae is they're looking for those invisible pulses that are coming out of live animals in their local area. And by live animals, I want you to picture a school of bass that just attacked a school of sardines, on top of some structure. And as those bass attack all those sardines or anchovies, some of those pieces are going to flutter to the bottom. And those pieces of bait fish that are fluttering to the bottom, there's still blood going through them. There's still electrical signals that are being pumped through those little hearts. And those lobsters are going to pick up on those electromagnetic signals. So if you're using old, dead, frozen bait, of course you're going to be able to catch lobster because, they're scavengers, they're foragers, they're looking for dead, dying bait. But realistically, those lobsters are looking for a live bait that they can feed on. And here's one tip, which we've never really given on any seminars, but I'm going to share it with those that are paying attention. And I want to talk about live mackerel. So, in my opinion, the number one bait that you can use if you're going to lobster hoop, even for a couple hours, is live mackerel. So, the Pacific mackerel that we have here on Southern California, they're everywhere. There's millions of them in our own harbors. And I can't tell you, if you can get some live mackerel and you're able to sabiki up a couple of them and keep them in a bucket or a live well for a while, if you want to take those live mackerel, literally take one single mackerel, take their belly area, stab them once in the belly, throw the mackerel in your cage, get that in your hoop, and throw them under. That mackerel, with just one stab in its belly, it's going to last a little bit. It's going to stay alive. They're super, 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 they're survivor fish. And they're going to be emitting those electromagnetic signals as they're inside your bait tube bouncing around in there. And what you're going to have is you're going to have lobsters that are not only attracted to the scent of that bleeding stomach, but they're also going to be attracted to those electromagnetic signals. And there's an expert lobster fisherman that's been hooping for years, who's a buddy of mine up out of Marina Del Rey. And this guy he hoops 150 nights a year during the season. And he told me that he's come up hundreds of times. He opens his bait tubes and his mackerel are intact, but the bellies of the mackerel are completely carved out. And he has a theory that the amount of oil and fat and just pure protein and calories that are located within the belly of that mackerel, that's what they want. So I'm gonna leave you with that one right now. We'll talk about salmon heads and fin bait. Live mackerel, y'all.
Yeah.
Freaking really interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're ever around Brian Sanchez and you feel his electromagnetic pulse, run in the other direction fast. Go ahead.
No, he actually told me that last time. I've been meaning to try it. And no, I just want to say I love lobster logs. I've never tried them. They look a little bit better quality than the ones I used yesterday. The ones I used were a completely different brand. I actually didn't even know that brand made any of those types of things. So I think they must have just released them pretty recently. And those are really bad. So I definitely want to give lobster logs a try. I got to find them hopefully locally near me pretty soon. But,
Yeah. I'm going to throw another tidbit at you.
Please.
So we've had a couple guys last year out of San Diego that started using the lobster logs, and their cheap and super ingenious answer to prevent those lobster logs from dissipating throughout the night is to throw the log in a pair of pantyhose.
Yeah,
And
that's what I was thinking too.
back in the days, we used to fish Lake Skinner and Diamond Valley and Silverwood. We used to fish chicken livers, chicken gizzards, and livers wrapped in pantyhose underneath a bobber on a far cast. And I think that same mentality of containing all of your bait in that pantyhose, they're still going to be able to get inside there and feed off of it, but you're not going to lose all those particulates to the water. So if you're going to go out and try one of those lobster logs pretty soon, which I want you to support that company.
Yeah.
Try stuffing them in a pair of pantyhose first.
Yeah. No, and those guys are cool. I mean, like I said, I didn't get to unfortunately use that one. The one I used was a different brand. But no, lobster logs, I mean, they tag us in so much stuff, and I see the success that they have, so I know that those work. I'm just trying to find some. Frozen bait, I don't know. I went hooping. I just did it locally from shore, so I was trying to see what I could find. And I don't know. I didn't get any luck. I didn't catch a single one, but what was crazy is there was 2 lobsters. Well, I'm assuming it was just the molts or something, because there was 2 of them floating on the surface. I took pictures of them, and I was like, oh, I must be in a really good area, because if there's 2 shells floating, and I tried to like snag one to see, because I was like, oh, maybe it's a whole lobster. But as soon as I touched it, it just broke apart into like a million tiny pieces. The legs floated one way, the tail floated another way, the carapace floated another way. So I don't know. I didn't get any good luck, but hopefully I can go back there. I think that there's some lobster there.
You'll get them next time. You'll get them next time.
Yeah, I know. I've never hooped from land. I've always gone on the boat. Go ahead. Sorry, Phil.
No. Such interesting stuff, Ryan. I am loving this. We've got a few more questions. Lucky for Brian, he doesn't go anywhere without his pantyhose, so he's well prepared. Let me tell you. Ryder, 5144. If I'm sharing 10 hoops with someone, do we both need to have our Go IDs on all the buoys or just 5 of the 10? Ryan?
So the state changed that law 2 or 3 seasons ago. On that boat, that's fine. But the angler has to be on the boat. So let's just say you, me, Phil, Brian, the 3 of us go hooping one night. We could have my Go ID on all 10 hoop nets as long as I'm on the boat. It changed a couple years ago, but I'm 100% positive about that new law.
Yeah. Before it was that you had to have every person who was on that boat, you had to have all their Go ID numbers written on it, which was kind of crazy because if you switch people, then you'd have a million Go IDs on it.
All right, very good. Seawolf is back with us, and he said he's been pulled over twice underwater by game wardens. He's got it on video. Jeff Lingle, who's down there, down below San Quintin, he's down there looking for bluefin tuna. He's going to get some food, and then he's going to go find some fish. So he's signing off with us. Really good to have him with us. Robert Greger excited about the new song, and Steve Barber wants to know, do you have any advice, Ryan, on where to fish, where to hoop now, where to go?
That's the number one question.
Yeah, that's an
We want
important one.
specific numbers too. All right.
The advice I'm going to give you might be kind of controversial, but I've been hooping before it was cool to hoop. I've been hooping since they had like those lay flat, the original lay flats, you know, Daniel said it years ago. And if you have a seaworthy vessel and your swell and your wind is decent, if you really want to hoop, find your nearest kelp forest, find your nearest line of kelp, your nearest strand of kelp, and find those pockets on the surface kelp. When you're driving by kelp and you're cutting through and you're scanning, you're gonna have pockets because what you have is you have kelp stalks, and each one of them has a massive root structure at the bottom of that kelp that's rooted in some hard bottom near sand, and
Makes
so they're gonna
sense.
be sparse. They're gonna be sparse. If you really want to find bugs, take your hoops and drop them in those pockets between those kelp tops. And you got to be on top of your game, and you got to be willing to counterweight your floats so that your hoop and your float stays parallel and you don't lose your hoop across. Because if you can pull up to your hoop and you drop straight down the pocket of kelp and your surface float is right on top and your extra line is right down, you're way, way, way more likely to find lobsters than any of our local harbors, our local bays, piers. Just take a look at those pockets in kelps, in the coastal kelp. And I know it can be dangerous because you're usually in, less than 50 feet of water coming up on the shore. I know it can be dangerous because you can get your prop wrapped up in the kelp. But if you got a team and you guys know what you're doing, check out those little gaps in kelp. You'll be absolutely surprised.
That's really good
It
advice.
makes
That's
perfect
something new. Yeah,
sense.
and that's something new because we always hear the same thing whenever we ask that question: is find structure where you're going to find bass,
Yeah.
where you're going to find lobsters.
Yeah.
Take away from that, but now you guys have another place to go and look for these lobsters because what he's saying is right. These things are rooted in hard bottom. They're rooted in the rocks.
Yeah.
And they provide extra structure and coverage for these lobsters, so it's a perfect environment for them. And there's so much bait and everything that lives.
Hey, Brian and Phil, what I'd like to do, I want to turn my camera off for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I want to go grab a couple of our surface floats so that we can talk about them in a few minutes. Does that work for you guys?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can leave your camera on if you want or whatever you want to do. It's up to you, Ryan. No problem. All right, perfect. I am really enjoying this. This guy is not only knowledgeable, but he's such a cool guy.
No, like seriously, I really hope that we can get on a trip with him. He's super cool, super cool. He's been one of the cooler people that I've been able to work with in the industry.
So, are we doing the Friedman Adventures team in that? I'm in, man.
I'm 100.
Dog's in. Look at the dog.
It'll be me, you, Renee, and the dog.
And Chivo. Don't leave poor Chivo out. It was his idea.
I know, that's true. We can't leave him out of it. So
No, we got four. We
that'll be four. Yeah, four.
Yeah.
Four, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. That's five, isn't it? Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll go and film. Can I do that? Yeah, I can
I'll
go
be
film.
filming. I'll just be a filmer.
No, I'll do that.
I'll do the film.
No, we'll fight over it. We'll
Okay.
flip a coin. How's that sound?
No, but I want you to do the pull.
No, I don't know. Did I tell you I was involved in a serious accident on the freeway?
Oh, you did.
Well, I haven't told you that?
No, not at all.
Well, if we get more time, I'll tell you about it later. But I got pretty banged up in that. By the way, if people want to get their ProMar gear, what is the best way to do it?
Yeah, so obviously go on promarahi.com. If you guys want to grab anything at all, right now is the best time to do it. Look, it is still super early in the season. There's so many months left to go. I feel like it always loses a little bit of steam right now, but look, grab your gear, go to promarahi.com, use code FA. That's going to get you 15% off. You guys are super good to go. Just make sure you guys use that code, and you guys are going to save a ton of money, get some free gear. Maybe I'll throw in some extra gifts in there.
You might do that. I know you. Yeah. You're pretty good at doing that.
I love giving away free
So
stuff.
when was your last time? You were just out yesterday?
I was literally just out yesterday. I've never gone hooping from shore, but we talked about it so much on here. So I wanted to go out and learn it.
Yeah.
So that I can properly
talk to people. Yes, correct.
Talk to people. I always tell people go here, go there. But now I'm actually experimenting with those locations myself. So just some key things that I kind of learned is always make sure that you have your rope ready to go and to the correct length that you're going to be in. And the main reason I'm saying that, especially if you're hooping from land, is I almost lost a hoop yesterday. So I threw it out and I was letting it sink, and I was like, oh, this is about 25 feet of line. I'll be fine. And it kept sinking, and it kept sinking. And if I didn't pay attention, the whole bundle of line started to slide on over. So I had to run back, grab the bundle of line, and then release some extra. So keep an eye on that for sure. Make sure you guys have it tied off. And make sure you're at the bottom, too, because If I would have just tied that off and it wasn't enough line, then you just have a floating hook net. And these lobsters, while they can technically swim with the kick of their tail, they're not trying to swim around, right? They're just crawling all over the place. So you want to make it easy and accessible for them to find. So that's one thing that I want to kind of touch base on. Bring plenty of bait, because I only brought those 2 bait packs, and I burned through that bait so fast and got 0 out of it. I was only able to do like two drops. They able to do 2 drops of 3 pulls, so something to keep in mind. Bring plenty of bait and get all that stuff.
So fortunate to have Ryan Candelaria from Slay Day with us. He rejoins us right now. Ryan, take it away.
All right. So what I realized that when I was talking about trying to drop your hoops in the gaps or in the pockets between your kelp, I want to talk a little bit about how we set up our surface floats. I think Promar and Ahi US refer to these as our surface buoys. We call them floats. This one happens to belong to our charter boat down in San Diego, so it has our FG numbers on it. But typically, you're going to see these labeled with someone's Go ID. But if you're on a boat that's commercially registered and you have paying passengers, your FG numbers have to be on there, your fish game numbers. But I want to talk about what I was talking about when I was talking about keeping your floats and your hoops and the end of your rope in a nice tidy fashion. So essentially what you want to happen when you drop your hoop down to the seafloor is you don't want your extra line to be up to your surface float and kind of like drifting out with the current or with the wind. You want that surface float to pretty much stay pretty close to where your hoop net is. And the way that we do that is we take our surface floats and we have our pointy end basically running down to our hoop net so that this float stays on the surface, and whichever the way the wind or the swell or the current is pushing, that point end of the float is going to be pointed into the direction, I guess you could say, of the wind or the swell. And so it kind of helps the kelp or whatever debris or any kind of crap that's in the water will kind of slide over your float. If you have your blunt end attached to your hoop net, then this is what's going to be dragging with the wind or the swell or the current, and you're going to be more likely to grab a bunch of crap on your hoop net. So that's the first hint. Have this go down to your your hoop. Second thing, you'll notice we wrap our floats. This is our style. We do the white surface floats with the dual DOT tape. And this is something that you're not going to find in a lot of tackle shops, but you're definitely going to find it on Amazon. So this is made by a company called SWRT. This is waterproof reflective tape. This is like 200 feet of tape. It'll last us like 5 seasons. And if you throw that tape on your surface floats and you have your spotlight, you're going to be able to see these things from half a mile away. They really pop out there. In addition to that, we drill about a 1/2 inch on top so that you can either have your old school glow stick, or you can shove down one of your Promar flashers in there, and this is really, really going to pop out there on the surface if you're amongst a bunch of other hoop netters. What we like to do is we like to take our floats and we like to drill in there, put a piece of rebar, put a couple pieces of like galvanized screw or an old weight so that they stay counterweighted, so that no matter how you throw this in the water, that light is going to stay on top and that weight is going to keep that float on contact on surface with the water. And what I want to talk about, and I wish I would have brought a piece of rope to show you, but I want you to imagine your line coming up from your hoop net through your float out the end of it. The line that's coming out of the end of that float, you don't want that line to stay true and have the wind take your float. You want that line to pass through your float and drop down to the seafloor. So what we do is we like to take a 20-ounce weight, a 20-ounce torpedo, and we zip tie these to the end of our line so that on the surface of the water, you have your float that's hoop next to your float, so that you're not going to be dragging off. You're not going to be wrapping your prop. You're not going to be 50 feet away from. It's all going to be nice and tidy. You're dropping on a very specific piece of structure, like a big isolated stone or an old wreck that's broke apart or in between the kelp. You're going to be able to keep it nice and tidy and not foul up your prop and be able to grab and pull right away.
That's amazing, dude. You hit the nail on the head. That was amazing
100%.
information. So all the people who ask those questions, and we're always like, I don't know. Now they're actually getting real.
Oh my God, Ryan, you are a fountain of information, man. You are really on this. Let me go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's the same thing that we talk about all the time, and he explained it perfectly. Is you want to make sure your line's parallel because not only is it safe for yourself, but it's safe for other boaters as well. So
Yep.
keep in mind.
And Ryan, feel free. I mean, every time you say you'd like to talk about something, we get some other pearl of wisdom. So if we're not getting the question or anything, please feel free.
Yeah.
Let me go to Silent Assassin. We've already answered this question, but I don't want to ignore him. What's your bait of choice? And I'm going to say it's live mackerel. Am I right?
Yeah. If but you want to give those sardines a good beating so they couple of them are alive, couple of them get cut in half, and then you throw those in, smash them into your bait tube. That's my number 2. My number 3, and this is what we provide to our renters that go out, is fresh unfrozen salmon heads. So your fresh unfrozen salmon heads are going to have an insane amount of oil in them, enough oil to where that salmon head is going to stay in your hoop net for 24 hours and it's going to emit that oil. Like salmon is such an oily species. Make sure your salmon heads are fresh. Make sure that you, if you get a chance to, and Silent Assassin, he's on our team up in Long Beach area. He always asks for those salmon heads to be butterflied. And the reason why we butterfly them, here's another tidbit. So I want you to imagine a salmon head that's been cut off of the body. That salmon head is pretty wide. If you got a good salmon that was, 8, 9, 10, 12 pounds, that salmon head's going to be a big donker. And if you try to fit a huge salmon head in the new Promar bait tubes or some of the older white ones or some of the ones that are made by Lobster Port Fishing or any of the bait tubes, it's a big head. If you get those lobster heads butterflied, you're going to be able to expose the flesh on inside of them. You're going to be able to put one half of the head inside your bait tube. The other half of the head you can switch out after about 3 or 4 drops. And here's another bit. Remember that the reason why we have these seal-proof cages is because of the California sea lion. Those sea lions, 100%, if you're hooping the islands, if you're hooping Long Beach Harbor, if you're hooping San Diego Harbor, if you're hooping not so much Mission Bay, but definitely LA Harbor, they are brutal. They're going to head down, straight down to your hoop net. If you have, no offense to Promar, but if you're using the bait pouches that are located within the hoops, they're going to rip those salmon heads right out of your bait pouch. If you have the salmon heads inside a bait-proof cage, they're going to try to rip them out of there. So what we like to tell people is I want you to think about the way that a sea lion hunts. Sea lions have absolutely outstanding eyesight at night. And when those salmon heads are inside your bait tube, that eyeball of the salmon head, God created them to have these crazy iridescent, like holographic, like beautiful glow to them. And those things, if you hit a salmon head with your floodlight underwater, they're like little beacons. And so we like to tell people, if you're going to throw a salmon head inside your bait tube and it's butterflied, try taking a smaller one and folding it the other way so that your flesh is exposed and the eyeballs are on the inside, and you're less likely to attract a sea lion that's going to be picking up on those iridescent eyeballs.
Wow.
Another thing,
Such good
if you are in an area where you have a lot of sea lions, they absolutely will steal lobsters out of your hoop nets. 100%. The pressure that those sea lions create from their jaw is enough to crush a lobster, especially the smaller ones. And we have seen sea lions like to take their kills and they come up to the surface and they flip them around, they throw them. We've seen them flipping fish. We've seen them flipping salmon heads. We've seen them flipping lobster. So best believe you got some lobster in your hoops and you got a sea lion that's swimming around your boat. They're definitely heading down to your hoops. And if you're in an area where there's lots of sea lions around you, they're not going to leave. They are not going to leave. So pick up your hoops and as quick as you can, hit that throttle and get out of there.
Yeah.
Because if you burn a sea lion and you hop up to 20 knots real quick, they're going to lose interest after a couple hundred yards.
Excellent. Great info, man. No question about it.
So much like prize information. I hope everyone's listening because this is like really good info here.
Hey, listen, everybody. Less than a half hour to go here. We've already burned through an hour, which is unbelievable.
It sucks we got to leave here early today because I feel like we have hours and hours of content here with him.
Well, Ryan, we're going to do this in person someday. We'll come out there to your place, Ryan. We'll sit down for 3 hours. We definitely need to do that. Richard Hughes would ask a question like this. What is the weirdest thing you've ever pulled up in a hoop? What is it? Is it a moray eel or is it some other weird thing, Ryan?
So I'm gonna give you a quick list off the top of my dome. First of all, I apologize. Somebody named Dan Nguyen just said I have to watch 3 ads just to get into the live Lobster Chronicles. I'm sorry, bud, but once you're in here, stick around because this knowledge, like, I'm not trying to be all pompous and stuck up, but we're giving away some good shit here, man. So stick with us, dude. So some of the coolest things that we've had, I think you already said it, moray eels. We've had moray eels from yellow to green, blue, black, like multiple different color species of those eels. It's awesome when you get those little tiny octopus or those big giant octopus. Sculpin, sand bass, calico bass, rockfish, big giant ugly wolf crabs or what. There's so many different names for them, but those big spider crabs, red crab, blue crab, rock crab, obviously your lobsters. But I think the coolest thing is when you're hooping with kids and you're fishing in an area where there's a lot of life and you pull up a hoop and there's a stingray and a sculpin and a lobster and an eel. Sometimes you get multiple species in one hoop, especially when you're fishing in the kelp. It's a blast when you have kids on board because that is going to keep them engaged forever. If you leave a little, octopus hanging around your hoop net and a lot of kids to play with it, and don't have them play with the eels, but all those species, especially if you're with a younger crowd, they're not going to care about the lobster for a moment. They got all these cool crawly things around. So I'd probably say eels and fish.
All right, cool stuff, man. No doubt about it. Seawolf is saying, you know what Ryan is saying is absolutely true because he dives in the daytime and he's talking about where you were talking about dropping in the kelp. And he says, man, he sees all kinds of lobsters in the cracks in the rock. So sage advice is what he says about the advice you're giving about dropping there in that kelp. And that's one I've never heard before, Ryan. That's a new one on me, so that's great, man.
I do with so many captains, and that's the first time I've ever heard somebody tell me, like, hey, go to the kelp and go to these little rocks. It's always been go find structure, go to the break wall, go find pools, go find rocks. Never heard it like, hey, go to the kelp. Go to the kelp and you're gonna find it there. So that's super good information.
All right, Seawolf, Brian, are you doing any promos this year like last year? It was ProMar 24 last year.
So this year we have the Ambush Season event, which is going to be partnered with CCA. It's a $25 entry, so it's not free to enter like it was last year. But the difference is way more prizes, way more giveaways, not only from us, but from Costa, from Acadian Knives, Hookup Baits, Deckhand Sports, Blackstone Grills, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple more. But there's a lot of good prizes to do that. Look it up on the Fishing Chaos app. And then we're also giving away some free shirts and hats and stuff like that. All you have to do is just tag us and CCA in the next outing that you go and take some photos, post them on Instagram, and we're good to go.
All right, excellent stuff. Ryder 5144. Ryan, thank you so much for the advice you're giving to a newbie like me. Rewrite, amazing information. Thank you so much, Ryan. Chivo joins us. So does the rope slide freely through the float until the proper depth, and then you tie it or zip tie it? If so, you don't have so much line scope, correct?
Yeah, so hooping for a long time, we love to hoop the harbors and the bays. The water's calm, it's quiet. There's not a lot of rocking. And typically, if you're hooping in the harbor, and what that allows is if you plan on fishing some of the deeper structure or fishing some kelp strands or fishing some of that structure in the harbor that's down below 50 feet, if you have that full 70 feet, it's going to allow your hoop to drop all the way to the bottom. It's going to allow your rode or your line slack to come all the way up to your hoop. And if you're in 50 feet of water, you know, even if you have it counterweighted, what's going to happen is you're going to have a little bit of lean or a little bit of scope, I guess you could say, or of that road of that line. And then you're going to have, just maybe 5-10 feet hanging below. And it's going to keep that weighted and it's going to keep that line straight up and down. But if you're only hooping in 15, 20, 25 feet, I want you to think of it this way. So you got your surface of the water, and then you have your surface of the seafloor. Let's just say it's 20 feet deep. If you have your hoop net on the bottom, you got 20 feet of line up to your float, and then you got 20 feet more line down. So there's 40 feet taken already. So if you zip tie your line to maybe 50 feet, all that's going to happen is you're going to have your float on the bottom, or excuse me, your hoop on the bottom. You're going to have your line up, the line going through the float, and then that's going to pull that extra line pretty much straight down. So even with 50 feet, if you're only hooping in 20 feet, you're going to have a nice parabola, I guess you could say, of your hoop line and your free line. Because with 20 or 24 ounces, this is going to take your poly line, your lead core line, your cheap Home Depot line, and it's going to pull it straight down to the bottom. Unfortunately, if you only got a 6, an 8, a 10, a 12, a 16, it may not get there. But with 20, 24, it's going to pull it straight down. Even with a lot of surface current, it's gonna almost completely eliminate your float from drifting away and getting messed up.
Excellent. We're loving it, man. A silent assassin. What is the biggest lobster ever caught on, I assume, your charter boat, perhaps, or maybe the largest one you've ever caught yourself, Ryan? What's the biggest one you've ever seen, for that matter, also?
So I'm gonna give some credit to Silent Assassin, aka Sean. He was out hooping with some buddies on one of our boats 2 years ago, and they pulled up I want to say a 13, 14-pound bug. About 3 or 4 years ago, Captain Roger from Roger Zach Sport Fishing over at a of the Giants. Number two, it was caught by the beautiful Kelly Hansen, Dave Hansen's wife. Hopefully he gets a chance to watch this. Shout out to Kelly. She went hooping with Dave one night, and I want to say it was 19, 20 pounds. And when you get a lobster 80 years old, I mean, what those things are 30, 40 inches long from the very tip all the way to the bottom of that tail. They're absolutely mind-boggling what they look like. We have a picture that we'll post it up tonight on our social media of Ricky. Rick is one of the owners of the Roach Coach bait boxes, and he's got a picture of a 17-pound lobster, and it's up towards his neck, and the tail is down like towards his knees. It's ridiculously big. So if you're hooping with fresh bait and you're willing to put in the grind and you're willing to fish some of those areas where maybe an old wreck or an old break wall that's been there for years, I guarantee you there's 10 to 20-pound lobsters just waiting for you. And I do want to say, don't be a jerk. If you get one of those big bad boy lobsters, get your pictures, get your videos, take your quality, get it back in the water. Those people don't agree with me. I don't care. Those things deserve to be released. It's like catching a 10-pound calico. Why would you take it home? Why would you take home a 13-pound lobster? my favorite lobster fare are those lobsters that are barely legal. And I'm not trying to make a pun right now, but those lobsters that are just over that 3 1/4 inch, 1.5, 2, 3 pound lobsters, those are the best table fare.
They're usually the best size too. Like we saw when we had them here, we cooked them and we had what 3, 4 lobsters, and that fed. I don't even know how many people were here that day.
There was like 8 or 10 people. Yeah.
And that was only with 4 lobsters. So, and those are the ones like you said, the barely legal size lobsters. So, yeah.
All right, Joe says, good spit, man. He's loving the show. He likes that big bull Dorado up there on the wall. I thought he was talking about you at first, but I remembered there was a Dorado up there.
Okay.
Rewrite, what does Slay Day provide if we rent to go hoop netting with you? And where are you out of? Fill us in on all of that, please, Ryan.
Yeah, how do we book? How do we?
Yeah.
So we have center console walk around boats. They're all aluminum. They're sweet little boats. They're available out of LA Long Beach Harbor. And with our relationship with Promar, when you get on one of our boats, all you have to bring is your lobster card and your fishing license. When you rent one of our boats for the lobster program, you get 10 Promar Ambush Series rigid hoop nets. You get 10 floats, 10 bait cages, 10 lights, 10 weights, all of your line, all of your fresh bait. You get your lobster cages. You get an LED spotlight. You get Sharpies. You get everything that you need to go out. Our attendants that take care of us, whether it's Sean or Matt or down in San Diego with our charters, they're going to go over all the gear with you. All the gear is prepped at 65 feet with plenty of lights, plenty of live bait. And the most important thing is, even if there's just 2 of you that rent one of our boats, you're going to get 10 hoop nets ready to roll. It's the same amount of hoop nets that you would get if you're going on a charter with the Alicia out of San Diego, or you're going on a charter out of the Gale Force out of the Long Beach port area, heading over to Catalina. Any of those boats in California, even if you got 50 guys on them, and if it's a 100-foot boat, you can only get 10 hoop nets on there. So we provide all of that. And I think one of the benefits of renting a boat with Slay Day, you get all the gear, but you also get a really decent chart plotter on any of our boats that is filled with spots that we have purposely put on there because there are structures there and there are lobsters that have been caught there. So if you're new to lobster hooping, but you kind of know how to do it, you've watched the videos, you know how to operate a boat, you're going to be able to go to some of these spots. We're not giving you our secret spots, but some of our spots that we've gathered over the years, and your chances of catching some bugs compared to just blind shooting it, shoot up sky high. One of the things that I want to point out is on all of our rentals, especially with Sean out of Long Beach Harbor, not only are you going to get a boat and you're going to get all the gear, but you're going to get knowledge. Our guys are going to take the time to go over our chart plotters, how to use them, how to find the spots, how to use the navigation, how to use the up down, meaning how to use the sonar, quote unquote, so that you can put together your own equation. Because when you rent a boat with us, you get a boat for 7 hours. We have a 7-hour twilight from 4 to 11 p.m. And then we also have an overnight program from 4 to 4. And it's under $200 a guy for a private 4-pack for the night.
That's fantastic.
That's insane. That's really, really insane. Wow. You get everything and the spots.
Man, that is absolutely frigging awesome. All right, Thang Win is saying, I am learning so much from you guys right now. Thank you, Thang. Thank you for being with us.
You're learning from us. You're learning from Ryan.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'm learning
like we are also, right along with you. Seawolf 1330, another helpful hint. If you're at the island and you see a cave, all the lobster like to hang out in that cave in the daytime. If you put your hoop nets right outside, you are guaranteed with some great success. That sounds absolutely like another great idea. Silent Assassin says, Ryan, we got to take Phil out sometime. To which I say, man, that would be my pleasure. I would love to do that, guys. Thank you. And
yeah, we'd love to have you guys, man.
Wild Willie. You know Wild Willie?
No, I don't.
Oh,
it says Wild Willie.
Wild Willie. Evening, gentlemen. Let's see. Jacoby says, I'm a little late to this. I went opening night, to one of the jetties near my area, and I saw people hoop netting from the rocks, jetties. Do the same finesse and tricks apply when hooping from the rocks? Are you changing your game up at all, or is it a different strategy that you're doing when you're doing that, Ryan?
So hooping from the jetties, hooping from the rocks per se. That's how I started with my dad. We would hoop from the piers and we hoop from the jetties. And I'm just going to be honest, it's a bear. It's a nuisance to hoop from those jetties, and the reason why is because you have to imagine that if you're standing, on a break wall, let's call it, you're standing on a rock pile. You have to imagine you got to get your hoop out far enough to where you're able to cast kind of past that big spill of rocks. Because if these hoop nets land in those rocks, you got surge, you got swell, you got wind, you got the waves from boats that are passing by. The chances of your hoop nets getting lodged inside those rocks, it's pretty high. So here's 3 tips on fishing from break walls. Number 1, try not to use the XLHs. Try not to use the XLs. Don't use the XLHDs. Use their standard 5-pound, 32-inch ambush. They're light. And you can really take a 5-pound hoop net and you can frisbee it out off the wall and get it out over some of those rocks that have spilled onto the seafloor. Because if you're standing on a rock pile gathering, it doesn't just end right where you're standing. They spill over, and you have to imagine like a 30, 40-degree angle of rocks. So if you just toss your hoop out there, you're going to get it stuck in the rocks. Good luck getting it back out.
Yeah.
I know guys that hoop from jetties, and they like to wear like neoprene waders so that they can go out and get kind of deep in the water and get their hoops out. I know guys that, wear their board shorts, and when it's time to check their hoops, they just hop in the water. They go grab their right on top of the hoops and they pull them up. Because if you try to pull those hoops from out past the break wall or out past the rocks, you try to bring it into you, you have to imagine you're going to put some lean on those hoops. So let me show you visually really quick. Hopefully I'm close or I'm far away enough. So imagine this hoop laying on the seafloor, and you have your bridle, up in the air, and you go to pull from the jetty. What's going to happen is you're going to pull that hoop this way, and you run a chance of throwing your lobster out of there. I can't tell you how many times we've pulled up a hoop net and there's a lobster sitting on the edge right here, and the chances of him falling off are really high. So if you're going to be from the break walls or the jetties, get in there, bring your board shorts, bring your waders, get out there, frisbee your hoop nets out of there. And you don't have to use a surface float. That's only if you're from a vessel. So once you throw that hoop out there, just bring your line. I know some guys that tie their lines around some of the rocks. I know some guys that, tie them to themselves. Just be very careful. If you're new to hooping, I highly suggest you start at one of the local piers, anywhere from San Diego all the way up to LA. It's a lot easier to kind of get started, and you won't get in those dangerous situations.
Wow.
Excellent.
That's great. Yeah, even it seems like you know a little bit of everything from every sort of angle when it comes to lobster hooping, dude. That's nuts.
Just from doing it for so many years.
We only have about 5 minutes to go. Unfortunately, this hour and a half has gone by so quick. We got a few more comments, but I can guarantee you one thing, Ryan. There is going to be a part 2 to this, man.
Oh,
We
sure.
have to, because I know we've touched on about that much of your knowledge, and we want to get more. Do you know who the Morro Bay hillbillies are from Monterey Bay? They want to say hi to you.
What's up, boys? Yeah, they drive down every year from Morro Bay, and I think they started fishing our tournaments maybe 3 years ago on a 13-foot aluminum like Sears craft, and they have upped their game so much. They are guys. What's up, boys? I hope to see you out here this year.
All right. It sounds like they are great guys, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us here tonight. And he said, it's absolutely true. Their boats, they went over everything with me. They even had ice in the cooler, but no beer, but everything else was taken care of, man. So really good stuff. More testimonials about the great operation you have at Slay Day. There's just No doubt about it. Wild Willie says, having a great time just trying to get more time on the water. Silent Assassin said he had a 33-inch langosta, I'm assuming. Joining us also is our dear friend Chris Rank from Colder Eyes. Hey, Chris, really good to have you with us. Silent Assassin. Phil, I got a couple of spots my Uncle Ed left me. I will take you to. Hey, thank you so very much. I would love it. That would be fun, man. I'm in, man.
Killer. Yeah, that would be an awesome show.
Really appreciate it. Jacob, thank you so much for your time and the knowledge. I truly appreciate it. Ryan, that's all you, man. No question about it. Wild Willie says Studebaker. And Mike Krinkovich says, Phil, it was Parker Boats. Just saying. All right. Mike Krinkovich is on a whole nother thing. Ryan.
Hey, Phil and Brian, I gotta interrupt you for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I need to be allowed to plug our new venture here in Southern California.
Oh,
So-
I was about to say, I think the last few minutes, what I want is tell people where they can find more about you. What are you doing? What are
Yes.
the things that you're able to provide them? Because obviously, as you guys can see, he's a huge wealth of knowledge, and we should, hopefully try to see more of him soon. So,
Absolutely. Ryan, take it away, man.
So I want to start off by after the past 8 years operating out of LA and Long Beach and Orange County, just in the last couple months or so, we are blessed. We have a beautiful 32-foot six-pack boat out of San Diego. We meet our clients. We're out of H&M Landing, and we have. I'm just going to be honest. We have one of the sickest boats on the West Coast. We have a pilot house boat with a 15-foot tuna tower, completely murdered out, black on black on black, with beautiful gator step of that foam decking. And we have both private party and open party lobster trips. I think our next party is next weekend. You can go out with a captain and a deckhand. We're going to go hooping at a Point Loma and San Diego Harbor. We're going to show you the ropes. We're going to get you on bugs. We're going to do some fishing. That boat is also, got 200 miles of range on that boat. We're fishing the Coronados. We're fishing all the way down to Ensenada. We're fishing offshore. We're fishing Clemente. We're fishing kelp. We're chasing big bluefin on the kite. We're fishing locally on it. Now where you can go out with one of our captains and go out with us and learn and experience real customer service. And the fact that we're able to work out at H&M Landing, where you have a tackle shop and rental gear and snacks and drinks and whatever you want, and to be able to meet us privately, take you out, come back, send your bugs home with you. We would love to have you out of San Diego. On the other hand, we also have center consoles available out of San Pedro, Long Beach, Huntington Harbor, Newport Harbor, Dana Point, where you can take out your own boat for the evening out of Long Beach, or take out your own boat during the day. Go fish offshore, go fish Catalina, or fish Isers, or fish Palos Verdes, and it can all be found just by Googling the word Slay Day or paying attention to our social media. We run discounts all the time for law enforcement, fire, first responders, veterans, and we try to give back to the community as much as we can. We would love to have you guys out with us.
Ryan, I have become a huge fan of yours in this hour and a half that we've been able to spend together, and I truly want to do more and more of it. Lisa Paul, do you have any upcoming open party hoop netting trips?
Yeah, I think our next one is this week. Next coming up here. I want to say it's the 3rd or the 5th, or it's coming up. If you're on our Instagram or on our website, you can check out our open parties. I think they're between $200 and $250 a seat, but this is going to be for a premium experience with a captain and a deckhand on a 32-foot boat. Sunday. But we also, if you want to go out hooping, we create open parties all the time. So just let us know when you're going to go out and let us build a trip around your schedule.
Excellent. Hey, Joe wants to know the name of your six-pack out of H&M Landing.
So the boat is called Like Minded, and that boat is it's a co-venture with myself with Slay Day, and also my business partner Mark from Like Mind Fishing. The boat is called Like Minded. Right now, It's not found on H&M's website, but you can book directly through us. We're going to be on Fishing Booker here in a couple days, but just reach out to us, and that's how you can find that boat out of H&M Landing is by looking up Sleigh Day. But the boat is called Like Minded by Sleigh Day.
Unfortunately, we've got to wrap this up. Seawolf says this has been an incredible evening. Thank you for all the experiences on the water. Ryan, you guys have a great night. Just Joe, also thanking Brian. I'm telling you, Ryan, what a fountain of information. What a truly good guy. And hey, Ryan, one more thing. Giving back to the community, helping our first responders, saluting the police officers, firemen who protect us. God bless you for doing that also. Ryan, anything in conclusion?
No, I mean, as you guys can see, Ryan's a wealth of knowledge. I'm super happy that we got to get you on here. We got to definitely plan to get you in the studio, or we'll go to you, or do something on the water, but we got to plan something else soon, because there is just, I feel like we just scratched the surface of all the information that you have to share. So it's crazy.
Ryan, thank you.
Yes, gentlemen. Have a good night. Let's talk soon.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Ryan Candelaria from Sleigh Day. What a great show. Brian Sanchez from Promar.
Yes, sir.
And, of course, all of you who contributed with so many great questions. Everybody who's going to watch this now that it's going to be archived in about 30 seconds, we thank you so very, very much for that. Once again, you go to promarahi.com, put in FA at checkout, and you get 15% off any of the items that are available to you, and it's great stuff. I'll see you on the morning briefing in a few more hours. We'll have more great content as we go along. God bless. Thanks for being here. And once again, we deeply appreciate your great support.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, everybody.
Take care.